Hey guys, for the sake of transparency, I want to let you know that I went into this first week without actually having done a significant amount of research on nutrition and strength training. Before I decided to begin strength training, I was going to the gym about 3 to 5 times a week, and I was also practicing yoga during the sunrises a couple of times a week, pretty consistently. So I did have a little bit of momentum before I got started with strength training. What I didn't have was the discipline to come up with a well-researched strength training program before this week began. I spent the first week learning about different exercises, their variations, proper form, and what muscles each exercise targets. I had a fitness trainer at the very beginning of the pandemic, so my body and my mind maintained a memory of what to do that would help me achieve my goals. And even though I did have a general idea of which exercises were effective and how to structure them, I didn't know much about why the exercises were effective. That lack of foundational knowledge was really disempowering for me, so that's where I decided to begin this week. I also had a little bit of fun with food because one of my closest friends was in town, and my mom was also in town, and life is short, so I try to have fun this week too. All right, we're at week 2. I spent this week identifying my goals, doing research, and prioritizing evidence-based fitness. One of my goals is to recomposition my body and increase muscle mass. The underlying principle that makes this possible is called progressive overload, which in the simplest terms just means that you're pushing yourself a little harder over time, either by increasing the weights that you lift, the reps, or the tempo. The only way I could ever remember my workouts and measure their effectiveness is by creating documentation. So that's what I did. This is the strength training program that I made after doing some research. The first thing that I did was prioritize stretching for injury prevention and recovery. Then I divided my workouts by movement type. The alternative here would be to divide my workouts by body parts, but I decided to divide my workouts by movement instead, just based off of the research that I did. When it comes to constructing workouts for each day on a more granular level, my plan was to begin with dynamic stretches, perform compound movements earlier on in my workout before I perform supplementary exercises that isolate specific muscles, do 10 to 15 minutes of cardio, then end my workout by stretching again. The reason why I'm beginning my workouts with complex and compound movements is because these are the movements that'll make the biggest difference in my ability to achieve my fitness goal, since these movements activate more parts of my body and require more energy than isolated movements. This doesn't need to be your approach though. For example, if your primary goal is to get abs, then it would make more sense for you to prioritize isolated movements in the gym that help you achieve that specific goal. After I created this program, I scheduled a consultation with my old fitness trainer, and she reviewed it and improved it to make sure that the workouts were responsible and effective. I'm not a fitness trainer and I'm not an expert, so this consultation was like a really fundamental step for me, and it's something that I would recommend you to do. So please keep that in mind if you take anything from this video. Even though I'm getting much more regimented in the way that I work out and eat, it's important to me to maintain my grounding in nature and avoid becoming so consumed by my own personal development that I deprioritize a very necessary commitment to community. So I spent some time this week practicing yoga at the beach and making food and dessert for houseless people in downtown LA. My mom also came to visit me, so it was an extremely happy week. This is my mom's birthday week, and she is vegetarian, so I made her vegetarian Ethiopian food, and I also made her tiramisu ice cream, which I was very proud of. We're Ethiopian, and I don't know why it's taken me this long to try to make Ethiopian food, but this is my first time making it, and it came out really well. We brought her birthday in with a red velvet cake from Susie's Cakes, which is my mom's favorite. This week, my nutritional goal is to maintain my high water intake and increase my protein intake to repair the muscle tears that I get from lifting heavier and higher reps. What helps me maintain discipline when I'm on a regimen that spans several weeks or months is by finding a way to make it fun and by being compassionate and flexible about the expectations that I have of myself. So I don't remove any foods that I enjoy from my diet. I don't treat food as a reward, and I don't punish myself if my adherence to my strength training program isn't perfect. What I know about myself is that it's easy for me to lose motivation when I tell myself that something is only worth doing if I'm able to achieve perfection. It's not important or possible to achieve perfection. It's much easier for me to make lifestyle changes that I can sustain for long periods of time when I relieve myself of the burden of aiming for perfection. One of the most exciting things I did this week was develop this recipe for matcha ice cream with homemade ube mochi balls. Okay, I'm like my happiest self around ice cream of any kind. So I was really excited about this. I'm probably gonna make this again. Everyone that I gave this to really liked it, so that's a good thing. I also tried out a recipe from one of my favorite food bloggers. I believe her name on Twitter and Instagram is It's Holly. This is a sushi bake recipe that I got from her Instagram page, and it's really good. It also only takes like 15 minutes to make. My mom went back home and she doesn't live that close by, so it was a pretty sad week. Maintaining my routine was actually challenging for that reason, but I did the best that I could to adhere to my strength training program and eat nutritiously. I overexerted myself in the gym this week, which I believe I did to mitigate the sadness. I didn't do it intentionally, but what I do know is that overexerting myself and weightlifting on days that are supposed to be rest days or active recovery days is not actually healthy. It's not a healthy coping mechanism. So it's also counterproductive for achieving fitness goals. So that's something that I just want to look out for. The transformation in my body, it was not only measurable this week because of the documentation, but it was also visibly noticeable in the way that my muscles looked and the ease that I had lifting heavier weights in higher reps. The accomplishment that I'm most proud of this week is actually a small change that I made with regards to snacking. I have an unrelenting sweet tooth, but I didn't disallow any foods over the course of this month. Instead, I allowed myself to fulfill my cravings in moderation for the first 3 weeks, and I slowly swapped out snacks that I usually eat with snacks that are a little more nutrient dense. Even though this change happened very, very slowly, this pace was the only way that I could make the change actually sustainable. Before I began making a strength training program, I was pretty intimidated by it because there was so much that I didn't know. If you're anxious or intimidated by the idea of making a program like I was, I want you to know that once you get started, it won't be as daunting as it might feel right now. When you make your program, the first week will take a lot of research. That might feel like a headache because there's a lot of misinformation to sort through, but the good news is that most of the remaining work is just copying and pasting your first week, then increasing the weights and reps incrementally for the following weeks. The hardest part about creating a program is just getting started. The most important part is getting an experienced professional to review your program if you have the means to. I'm giving myself a B- here because I made a haphazard attempt to eat nutrient-dense meals instead of making a plan, which would have been the most effective thing for me to do. I think I was too fatigued by the research I had to do to learn the fundamentals of weight training to approach my nutrition goals with the same level of focus. Doing research, coming up with a plan, and creating documentation, that's the approach that I wish I would have taken. My new goal is to create documentation for a meal plan that optimizes for nutrition and muscle regeneration. I also really want to get in the habit of incorporating more plant-based proteins into my diet because I don't eat enough legumes, grains, nuts, or beans. There are a lot of people in the world who care more about making money and maintaining their public image than they care about adding value to your life in a way that's actually meaningful. I tried to avoid anything that could cause me to develop an unhealthy relationship with fitness or food, but it wasn't always easy. What helped me when this got difficult was making a private Instagram account just to follow responsible researchers and nutritionists who have evidence of their credentials and expertise, who don't promote misinformation, who don't encourage quick fixes, and don't sell fad diets that aren't sustainable. Some of my favorite people to follow include Sohee Lee, her Instagram account is Sohee Fit, and Jordan Sayat. Accounts that are actually informative and conducive to your mental health might be hard to find, so when you find them, just try to bookmark them and engage with their content to train the algorithm to show you similar accounts. For water, I would give myself an A. My goal was to drink up to 128 ounces of water a day, which was only easy to do because I had a giant water bottle that I took with me everywhere, but I just lost it, so now I'm like incredibly dehydrated, but I was doing good. I was doing really good that month. That is all I have for now. I hope this was encouraging. If you plan to begin strength training, just remember to seek out evidence-based research from proven professionals. Be patient with yourself, make changes that you can sustain for a prolonged period of time, and do what you can to protect your spirit. Good luck on your journey, and I'll see you soon.